Stop. Look at this joker. Stop, Daniel. What? What? Good morning, people of God. Good morning. I hope everyone slept well. Get down. I hope everyone slept well. It's a late morning for me. You know, sometimes, don't bring that ball near me. Sometimes we women just got to take a break. Our bodies got things that our brothers' bodies don't have sometimes. Just got to take a break, get you something hot, and relax. And I slept late this morning. Oh, one of my elders, he called and woke me up. Hey, girl, I thought you'd be up by now. You know, you get up early. I get up early. He get up late. I go to bed early. He go to bed late. One of my elders, who's been like a father to me, called to check on me this morning. And we were talking about, he was encouraging me. He said, you know, I'm proud of you. You got so much courage and boldness to be a young lady. And he said, the way you carry yourself, he said, you the package, baby. He said, I tell you the same thing I tell my daughters. He got daughters and sons, and that's why he said, you the package. He said, it gonna be hard for somebody to run up on you and play games with you. And we got the one thing talking about another. He's all that courage you got. You just some of the things that you repair on your own. He came to help me lift. I had to, when I was replacing a turbo on my truck. Sometimes I got 4 men who treat me like their daughters, and by the grace of God, you know, it ain't always easy a woman having um, men who's not her father that she can rely on, because some men, their minds are twisted and they try to always get out the way with a woman. But I got 4 men by the grace of God who God has put on my path. If I needed assistance or some advice or something like that, some of them don't live around, but 2 of them do. If I needed a hand or something that was too much for me, where I could call and get some advice. Apart from my uncle, my 2 uncles, that makes 6. So I got a total of 6, you know. But I try not to be a bother to nobody. And every now and then, every blue moon, they'll call and check on me, you know. And I stock them up. I share what I have with a lot of them and their families. But he was encouraging me this morning, and you know, that was a blessing. You know, it was a blessing to have um, that encouragement. You know, he said, I'm just so proud of you. And we got to one conversation, one part of the conversation led to another. He said, you had to just get all that strength. And, you know, and I said, well, you know, my father never did it for me. You know, I think I'm going to title this video that my father never did it for me. Because that's what put it on my mind this morning. I don't know where this going to go, but I'm going to just talk. You know, my father never did it for me. And so there are a lot of things where I look back over my life. Stop, Daniel. Don't mess with those. There are a lot of things, you know, where I look back over my life where, because my father wasn't there, you know, I have strengths in a lot of areas that a lot of those who friends that I used to have, a lot of friends didn't have. You know, a lot of younger ladies where I used to have friends who had their fathers in their lives, their fathers did it for them, which was a blessing. You know, and sometimes for us fatherless daughters, sometimes we look over our lives and say, why I had to be dealt these cards, or why I had to do that. But, you know, part of what we all had different cards that we were dealt in life. And sometimes we can look back over our lives. If you had a cross that you had to carry, and part of, you know, being not having a father, for many of us, that was a cross, because there were things that we needed our fathers to be there for, to protect us, you know. But we had an earthly father, a heavenly father, you know, because in Psalm 27:10, David says, when thy mother and thy father forsake thee, thou will take me up, you know. So the Lord becomes our father, and nobody is greater than him. And so if you had to carry that cross of being a fatherless daughter, and you look back over your life, having an earthly father figure, when you look back over your life after carrying that cross for how many of years you ever had to carry it, you know, I'm pretty sure there's some positives you can draw from it, you know, because my father wasn't there. There are many things that I was forced, many skills that I had to learn so that I wouldn't be taken advantage of, you know, and it's not a down. I don't look at it as a minus. It's a plus, you know, it's a plus. And I remember growing up as a child, I think I was 15 years old. Yeah, I was 15 years old when my father finally did come and meet me for the first time. So when my mother was 19 years old when she got pregnant with me, and my father told her, "Don't go to the doctor until I come back," because he left to go to the military. He was older than her. He was in his 20s, mid 20s. And my grandmother, I think her water broke in the house one day with my grandmother, and my grandmother had to rush her to the hospital. And she never saw her baby daddy again until 15 years later. 15 years later. And you know, I just looking back after I got off the phone with my elder this morning, I was just reflecting back over my life. I'm not angry with my father. Now, I used to be hurt. And sometimes when you relive memories, when you retell stories, you have to relive those things, because in order for you to tell the story, you have to go back into those memories and pull from them and share them, which makes you relive it again, right? So some things can bring back pain, but the remembrance of certain things. But as I look back over my life, you know, as it got to the point where I had to cut communication for me to have peace, to maintain my peace. But as I look back over my life, I'm not upset at my father. I appreciate my father, because had he been there, I know I probably would have turned out a lot different than I am now, you know. And I wish he would have been there, but at the same time, because I was dealt the cards I was dealt, I can't go back into the past. You accept it, you know. So I'm not upset with him. And I also realized that my father was a broken man. So therefore, broken people break other people, you know. And there was a lot of women in his life that he hurt. And for some reason, they always found my number to reach out to me at some point. It got tiresome after some time, you know. But my father was the first man to ever break my heart. He was the first, the last, and the only. And after I reached the point in my young adult life where I totally forgave my father, that set me free. That set me free to love, to experience joy, you know, to release bitterness. Because when you hold on to the pain people cause you, if you don't constantly discard that, you have to, and especially when you are a child of the light, when you are a child of God and you walk in the light, you have a calling on your life, you're going to experience a lot of things over and over again, because the enemy is always trying to find who he can use to pull you down, to break your spirit, to crush you. So you're going to have to do a lot of forgiving, and forgiving is for us. Not saying you have to forget. You know, I hear some people say, don't forgive. You don't have to forgive nobody. I don't believe in that. Because for one, as children of God, we walk in forgiveness. Stop, Daniel. Not meaning that stop. I'm not playing with you now. He think I'm playing. Not meaning that we just open ourselves up for people to have access to us. No, you can cut communication with people and still be in a place of forgiveness. You can wish them well and be on your own way, you know. And you don't have to give them access to your life if they're going to bring toxicity into your life, you know. And part of actually healing is forgiveness. Forgiveness goes along with healing. That's just my opinion, you know. I ain't no counselor. I'm just a little country bunking woman who talking about myself, you know. But I believe to be totally healed and over a situation, you have to forgive. And that does not mean you have to give people access to you, you know? So I have forgiven my father over the years. And that set me free from carrying all of that pain, all of that bitterness. I remember one time my father, when he first called, I think I was like in my early teens, either 13 or going almost in my early, maybe 12, 13. And my father promised that he was coming to see me. Stop that. Stop that now. And he said he was going to bring me a bike, and he was going to bring me something called a Super Nintendo. Many of you probably remember I used to play a regular Nintendo back then. My mom bought me this regular Nintendo with the block controller. Y'all remember Mario, Super Mario Boys, baby? Oh, I can make that thing stroll, baby. But so he said he was going to bring me those things. Stop that, Daniel. I'm not playing with you. He doing everything to get on my nerves while I'm on this camera. And so not you, baby, you sweet. And so he said he was gonna do it. So I was so excited. I sat by the window all day long because he was married. He was married and living in Virginia during that time. And he all day long I waited. He never came. He never came. And it got to the point where my mom saw me that morning. I was looking out the window. I was sitting by the window. I would go and use the bathroom or get me something to drink or get a snack and come sit right back by that window. About 5 o'clock in the evening, he still ain't came. My mom walked past. I could tell she was her countenance looked like she was kind of sad. But being a child at that time, I didn't really interpret it as that. I was just like, oh, she don't say nothing to me sitting here. I don't want to hear nothing negative. And she said, baby, you could get from by that window. I don't think he coming. I said, why are you so negative? He coming. He said he coming. No, because as a child, that was my, first time, hearing from my father, interacting with him. He promised he was coming, and I wanted to meet him, wanted him to come. By the time the sun went down, it then got dark. I'm 9 o'clock. I'm still sitting at the window. It dark. Now I'm sad. He ain't coming. Now I'm sitting at the window crying because he ain't come. Try to call him. He ain't answering. Next day, he ain't answering. I think he probably called 2 or 3 days after that, So my father, do little things like that. And it constantly just crushed my heart. But over time, when I look back over my life, I learned he's the only man that's ever crushed my heart. I was always able to. Now, I've been disappointed by fake friends, guys I've dated, but they never really got past the first couple of steps because I was able to discern who they were. And then when I saw my father in some of them, I already knew that was a red flag. My father was a womanizer. And when I already saw the red flags in them, I'm like, I hope in my mind I would be saying, I'd be listening to him over dinner, and I'd be like, I remember one time I even walked out. I was at dinner with this one guy. I walked out. I was like, I'm sorry. Let me just pay for this. He's like, no, I got it. I said, no, I got to go. But it was always disappointment. And it got to the point where I stopped dating for many, many years and just focused on myself, and I focused on forgiving my father as well, letting go that pain, because if you don't, it will make you bitter toward the opposite sex. And when I forgave my father, I just noticed something just was free on the inside of me. Nothing could really trigger me. Like in the beginning, the least little things he could do, and he would do really, really mean things, sometimes to get to me. And some of the older guys in my life at that time that were father figures, they would say, oh, he feels bad because you're becoming successful and he hasn't been there, so he can't take credit for any of that, so he's trying to make you feel like how he feels, but try and shake it off and just keep going. And so, and me learning Christ, learning his ways, studying the word and stuff like that, that also helped me to understand a lot of, my father, understand him even more and the type of man he was, and also forgive him, you know. And so I did that. And I always would say, like growing up in college and stuff like that, when things would go wrong with I had a 99 Durango, and things would go wrong. Like my father was a mechanic, so he knew how to do stuff, but he never taught me anything. He never checked on me. When I graduated from college, I put myself through college. I graduated with honors. He never came to my graduation, never came to anything. My high school graduation, he was never there. So I can't look at all of that. It was a cross that I was carrying as a child. I used to feel heavy. I used to feel sad, when I didn't have a lot of support growing up. But now, as I look back over my life, carrying that cross for so long, and there were other things as well, family situations where I always didn't have support. I didn't have a lot of people encourage me, but carrying that cross, I mean, I still made it. and it only made me stronger. So when I look back over my life, a lot of the things, even now, that I can do if something goes wrong, a lot of things I can kind of just read up on, or figure out how to do it, how to repair certain things without having anybody take advantage of me anymore. I remember I used to always have a bill every time I would go to a dealership, and when my Durango, something went wrong. I remember this one dealership. I still remember the name of it to this day. And they would say, "Oh, your ball joints are bad, $500." Now, being in college, that's a lot, because you got books, you need things, and then if you got an apartment in college, you got to pay utilities. You got rent, and then if you got a car, you got insurance, you got taxes, you got fuel. So to be given a $500 bill all the time, the enemy always just tried to drain my finances. But I kept pressing through. I had to work. I worked all through college. I had a job since I was 13 years old, baby. Before I was able to legally work, I would get with some of my cousins and stuff like that, and family members who were self-employed, and they would give me stuff to do, and I would always try to make a hustle. I always was willing to work, you know and life got better. I bought my first home at 21, and then you deal with hate too. People don't know what you go through. You deal with a lot of the hate, but you have some people who have both parents, so they don't understand certain struggles. Their parents covered certain things for them. Some young ladies who had their fathers in their life, so they never had to get their hands dirty and go out here, and if an alternator go bad on your car, they never had to go and pull them two bolts out and unplug that wire and screw that screw and put a new one on, because the dealership want to charge you over $700 when that alternator don't cost but $200, and it don't take up about an hour and a half to 2 hours to put it on. So they never had to deal with those type of struggles. So some of the things I was saying on the phone with my eldest morning, because my father never did it for me, I chose to do it for myself, and I wasn't going to go, you know, give up my goodies. I was never that type of young lady. I wasn't going to give up my goodies to get what I needed, or to find a man to do it for me. So I did it for myself. And I'm not angry. I can never be angry with my dad, you know, because him not being there, hurting me as a child, that helped me keep my heart guarded to not just giving it away to any man. Even my first boyfriend in college, he was such a gentleman. He was a big giant. I used to call him, and he played football. He was an upperclassman though, but I used to call him my Goliath with the heart of David. You know, I used to call him my Goliath with the heart of David, and I love to put my hand in his hand. His hand was probably about 2 or 3 times the size, and my whole hand, I could press it up against his hand, and it would be so much bigger than my hand. He was such a gentleman. He never used profanity around me ever, but I never fell in love with him. I always, was thinking like, we're in college. In my mind, I'm thinking we're in college. We don't live together. I don't. I was just, I was always just afraid to open my heart up. We never had sex. I always kept myself. And when he would pick me up to take me on a date, we go to a movie, a dinner, he was never out of the way with me. So respectful. And he had one issue that always frightened me. And that was part of the reason too that helped me keep my heart guarded as well. He would drink a lot. And I'm like, I'm like, in my mind I said, I ain't falling in love with that. But he was so respectful. I felt safe every time I was with him. But I kept my heart guarded. And I got to give that to, I got to give I think that credit for that goes to my father. You know, it was very hard for me to really open my heart in that way. And so my father has always been the only man that has ever broken my heart, you know. So I can't be angry with him. Now, I've had friends over the years, men and women, who have just been deceptive and disloyal friends, sometimes. And then now that when you're growing in Christ, sometimes people just fall off. I've had friends over 15 years betray me, over 10 years betray me. And then as you're trying to accomplish something, you really see the envy and jealousy inside of folk. And, you ain't really accomplished everything that you're setting out to accomplish. yet. You know, folk is just, you know, it is what it is. But part of my strength comes from me having to do it myself. And I thank God for that. And I can't be mad at my father for that. That was part of me carrying my cross. And so I've forgiven my father. I'm not upset with him at all. You know, we can't have access and communication because I also can't allow him to bring toxicity into my life. You got to protect your peace. And I feel like a part of us growing, all of us as adults, when we grow, being able to take accountability for our wrong, and being willing to learn from our mistakes. That's, in my opinion, that's the first step to growth. And I also believe the number one thing to family dysfunction is when somebody has done something to you, and this could be in any family member, it doesn't have to be a parent. When somebody has wronged you and you want to hold them accountable and explain your wrong to them, when you are in the process or trying to hold them accountable and they want to cut you off and they want to say all manner of wicked and evil things, they want to cuss, and they don't want to hear what you say because it pains them to hear what type of monster they've been, if they've been a monster. It pains them when it pains them to hear they're wrong. And so because it pains them to hear they're wrong, they're now going to lash out and project their pain onto you by not listening to you. That's what family dysfunction starts, in my opinion. Not trying to, not being, not willing to be held accountable and heal the things that are broken, you know? So you just bury it and move on like nothing's ever there. Some people don't want to live a fake life. So they separate themselves from fakeness. They come out of that fakeness. They come out amongst, they may love everybody, but they come away from people who are willing to just put dirt on all the stuff that's happened, put dirt over it, and just ignore it, and then move over here and just move on. How can you move on when some people have they're really serious things that have happened and they need to be discarded properly? They know you take the dirt off, clean the dirt, pour some water, clean all that dirt out that wound, put some peroxide in it, maybe a little alcohol because it gonna sting a little. See, because the truth hurts sometimes. Put some alcohol in it, let that wound burn, but you know the burn is causing it to heal, you know. Maybe a little antiseptic, and then you let it, if you have to put some gouges in it, you put some gouges, band-aid it up, and let that thing heal the proper way. So when it finally heals itself, it'll be gone. It won't just be covered up with dirt that could later turn into gangrene and all kind of other stuff. See, some people ain't want to do that. Some people don't want to heal the unsanitary way. They want to heal the proper way, and you can't make nobody deal with what they're not willing to deal with. So you have to separate yourself sometimes and you heal. You get your healing. Then when you get your healing, you go out into the world and you make good connections. You make good relationships. And then you may meet some people who have not healed as well. And if you meet people, they may be good people. They may be going through a process or whatever, you know. And you may meet people and you may be able to help them just by sharing a little your story, a little what you have done for yourself. You know, it's all about being a good person, being good, you know, focus on being good. I think that's what brings true happiness. When we focus on being good people, when you do good in the earth, good may come back to you. It may take a while. You may go through some stuff, you know, not may, you will go through some stuff, you know, but when you have pure intentions, I believe with all my heart, eventually there's going to be a time, there's always a set time for God to favor his people, you know, for God to keep his promises to his people. And if that means the world, the entire world has to collapse for God to lift his people up, then so be it. However, his ways are not our ways. However, God has to do his thing. You know, we just have to stay in alignment with him. And when you really find God and you really walk in his ways, It'll make you forgive them folks that have really caused you a lot of pain. You ain't got to let everybody in your life. Some people don't need to be in your life because, again, if they are still toxic and they are unhealed, they're only going to bring pain and cause new wounds. They're going to come in your life and cut you again. They're going to cause all kind of new wounds. And they're going to be some outside folk. They may not understand why you distance yourself or why you cut yourself off from certain people. But everything ain't for everybody to understand. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, spiritual wickedness. Spiritual warfare is very, very real. And when you walk with Christ, you may see things that a lot of people can't see. And there are some folk who are just really plain old demonic. They will talk about you and bewitch people's mind against you, or bewitch, have other people under their spell through their words, casting spells on people, getting them to believe lies and deception, painting themselves as good people, but you probably know the true them, and you got to separate yourself from folk who have caused you pain, and they're still walking in delusions. They still walking in lies. You got to separate yourself sometimes from everybody who's connected with them, because they'll just have you in a whole world of confusion. The Bible said, come out from amongst them, be ye separate. But anyway, I just got all over the place in this little conversation, ain't it? But yeah, that's where a lot of my strength come from, having to do it myself. And I thank God for that. I ain't mad at nobody. They say, well, I used to hear people say, when life throw you lemon, make lemonade. Oh, baby, I've been drinking a lot of lemonade since I was a child. I've been drinking a lot of lemonade. Yeah. But I thank God that I've been able to taste it. If that makes sense. I thank God. Just be a good person, and it brings happiness. And forgive folk who have wronged you. You keep walking in the light. You ain't got to give everybody access to you. You ain't got to forget. You can't forget, because that will make you wiser. You know how to make better decisions in life as you continue to progress. And you will progress as long as you keep God first and you keep sowing good seed. Whatever we sow, that's what we're going to reap, baby. Whatever we sow, that's what we're going to reap. If you're a good person, if you put out a lot of positive energy and you stay in Christ, eventually, even if it's just one person, you're going to meet somebody that comes and replicates and reciprocates all that you're willing to give in the inside of you. They're going to match you, whether that be through a spouse, whether that be through a sister, a brother, a friend. The Bible said there's a friend that'll stick closer than a brother or sister, right? There's a friend that'll stick closer than a brother. So eventually, you're going to reap that, and God uses his spirit, works through his people in the earth. So anyway, that's all I want to share. I didn't jump off the fatherless daughter and all of that, but yeah, forgive folk. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is for us. It's not for the people who have hurt us. It's for us. It sets us free. Yeah, forgiveness sets us free. Have a blessed day. Maybe that'll be the title for this video. What should I title this video? Maybe forgiveness sets us free. Have a blessed day, people of God. I love you. I'm starting a late morning. Matter of fact, I don't even feel like leaving the house this morning. I don't feel like leaving out this morning. No morning. I just feel like rested, but I do have to leave. It's a whole new month. It's going too fast. It's going so fast. I ain't caught up yet. I'm trying to catch up. Have a blessed day. Don't never let your light grow dark, baby. Know that we are the light of the world. Keep shining bright. And we also know that the blood of our Savior, our friend, our Messiah, our brother, Jesus, Yeshua, he's the one and only, baby. His blood is the only blood that has power. Go out into the world and shine your light and be great. If you've been dealt some lemons, make lemonade. Make lemonade. Walk in forgiveness. Pick up your cross and walk. The longer you walk with it, the stronger you gonna get. God gonna reward you. He gonna be there. If thy mother and thy father forsake thee, he'll lift thee up. He'll be right there. Yeah, I'm a living witness. All right, now, have a blessed day.